It's Australia's ultimate battery-powered garden brand. Let's just touch on the last night's 50-point win for Port Adelaide. Probably leaves more questions for Carlton than answers for anything else, Paul Hasleby.
Yeah, it does. Only one goal in the first half for the Blues. They trailed by 68 points. It could have easily been 80 points, but we did focus on the Blues, how disappointing they were and what it means for Michael Voss going forward. But for Port Adelaide, Butters, Rosie, outstanding. Miles Bergman, I think at the start of the year when the 7-year deal was thrown around for Miles Bergman, I reckon we all here in the West said, hang on, is this kid any good? He's really good. He played on Paddy Cripps, but beat him the other way, kicked the 2 goals on him, and he's emerging as a player as well. And Mitch Georgiades kicked the 5 goals. Charlie Curnow, no big response from him. It was the first time he's gone goalless since 2021. He finished with 3 points. Interesting enough in the game, Carlton won the contested possession and the clearance, but they lost the inside 50, 55-43. And what stood out to me and everybody else was the lack of response, no hunger, no system. So they can talk all they want about being behind Michael Voss. When push come to shove about playing for your coach, they weren't there in the first half, and I think that's going to tell a story as the season unfolds for Michael Voss.
No doubt about that. And just on touch on Port Adelaide, can they cause some damage in the run home?
Yeah, absolutely. Fremantle will have to travel to Adelaide to take on Port Adelaide, and that's a game that they will need to win. And if Port Adelaide show up like that, it's going to be difficult. And look, I think they've been through the tough times, haven't they? Like the talk around Hinkley and Carr, the handover. I think in the back end of the year now, with the pressure being off a little bit, knowing that he will see out the year, I think they're going to do some big damage.
Michael Voss had this to say also about where to now for Carlton as a footy club.
There is a way we need to be as a football club, and we're not that yet. There's been a lot of foundations laid on that, but clearly that hasn't fully turned to the standard that we want, nor the results that we want. So we'll keep working our way through that, keep providing the vision that we need, keep providing the alignment we're after, keep a look at things that we need to be able to adjust. So that won't change in the next 8 weeks. We'll continue to do that.
What do you make of the bump? Concussion to Adam Saad. Dante Vicentini was the ruckman. There's not much he could do in this situation because he's a big man, over 200 centimetres, but we know if you choose to bump and brace and get somebody in the head that causes concussion, you're in a bit of strife.
Well, I think Saad had some responsibility. Saad was low to the ground and coming up and was virtually unaware that he was there. I think he had to open up his...
Because the bump's gone out of our game, Tim, players aren't ready for it, are they? Like, in my era, you had to have your wits around you. You had to know what was coming the other way. You had to know Byron Pickett was over there out of the corner of your eye. In this day and age, they're just not expecting it. So they're not used to it.
Yeah. I do... I'll take the easy way out. Fine if there is such a thing. Can he be fined for it?
If he, not now that he's got concussed, I think had it have been graded differently, he would have been okay. But for what can a big guy do? He can't get down that low.
No.
So I think you've got to make some adjustment for that.
Yeah, I think, again, I go back to my original comment. I think Saad has to take some responsibility. I think he was just, as you said, just not aware what was ahead. If you want to have your say on the Carlton and the Blues situation, and it's the big story of the day, the Blues, I'm led to believe, are going to speak today. One about the sabotage of their training venue at Icon Park, but also I'm sure the club will come out very strong in either supporting Michael Voss or making a move or whatever they're going to do going forward. ACDC Power Up 2 open line is available 13 12 55. Turn our attention to a big game tonight. I'm really looking forward to this one, and tonight I'm going nowhere. I've cleared the decks. Last week I completely cocked it up. I had 14 jobs on when I didn't realise I had any on.
No cashies available tonight,
No cashies tonight. Jake Floyd and Oliver Florent come in for Joel Amati. Riley Bice has lost his way. Jason Johannesson and Riley Sanders, some good ins there for the Dogs. Trelaw's injured and Josh Dolan loses his spot. The Bont 250th game, and Chad Warner steps out for game 1.
Can we play a game with Marcus Bontempelli? I want to put it out there to you and the listeners. Name a better player than Marcus Bontempelli that you've seen play the game of AFL. How many off the top of your head are better than Marcus Bontempelli? This is a 3-time MVP, 6-time All-Australian. Can he get to 9? Nobody's ever got to 9. When you look at the guys that have got 8, Robert Harvey, Rashudo, Gary Ablett Jr., and Lance Franklin. He's on 6. Many believe he's on his way to 7 this year, even though he missed the first 5 games. Can he get to 9, and where will that put him in the pantheon of greats?
Oh, gee, it's a question without notice there, Paul.
Is Gary Ablett Jr. better than him?
Yes.
Yeah. Lance Franklin?
Yes.
Mark Rasciuto?
No.
Robert Harvey?
No.
So he's got 2 runner-up Brownlows. Now, we put so much emphasis in our game on Brownlow, which is not right, but he's got 3 MVPs by either the players or the coaches, which I think we all admit probably got more weight than a Brownlow medal.
Sure. Scotty Cummings reminds us of that every time he steps in. It's a very good question you ask. So ask the question again and get our audience to send in some text on the open line or 13 12 55 if they wish to call.
Which players have you seen play the game of AFL that are better than Marcus Bontempelli?
13 12 55 on the ACDC Tour open line or 0487736736. Back to the game. Who wins?
Yeah, big game this one for the Bulldogs. I'm actually a believer in the Bulldogs that they can do some damage. If they play Collingwood at the MCG, I know it's not their ground, in September, I give them a chance because their midfield is super strong. They've got Sam Darcy now. They've got a bit of coverage in defence. They've got O'Donnell who's playing well and Rory Lobb is playing really well. But to get there and finish in a high enough position, they need to win games like this. But it won't be easy because Sydney, they've turned the corner, some good players back, and with that comes a bit of confidence. Goulden back into the side with his ball use. You've got Papley as well. Can they keep it going? I'm going to go the Bulldogs because I am a believer. I think the Bulldogs will get there by 12 points.
Wow, that's a big tip right there. Let's turn our attention to the Saturday fixtures. And Alex Sexton, one of the great survivors, he comes in for Nick Holman at the Gold Coast. Jefferson, Tholstrup and Harry Sharp in. Lever, Windsor and Van Rooyen out.
Yes, a big call there on Jake Lever. And, of course, Matt Rao recommitted to the football club yesterday as well, a 2-year extension. That is good for Gold Coast. They need to win, Gold Coast. They just have to win. If they lose this one, then I think it looks hard for them to make the top 8. And they just need to make the top 8. I know they've got a game up their sleeve taking on Eston later in the year, but they were disappointing last week. They dropped away after being in a winning position. Melbourne are improving. Melbourne will be like Port Adelaide. They'll do some damage on the way home with the way they're playing, and when they get it right and their execution inside their forward 50, they will win games. But I don't think they've dropped the right player. I think they need to look maybe towards a Jack Viney type who went back in last week, who doesn't deliver the ball well, and they need some players that can kick it well. They also need to transition a few of their outside mids on the inside and not just have the same starting 4 every single week. But at home, I think Gold Coast will be far too strong.
Can I ask you about 2 West Australian boys? Jacob Van Rooyen, where is he at? Is he tradable? And Tajwai Woden doesn't seem to have been given too many opportunities. Again, he's named on the emergency bench.
Yeah, both are gettable, absolutely. And I think if you're Van Rooyen and if Simon Goodwin's going to be there next year, I think definitely if there's a club that's willing to take you on, and his contract, it's a pretty big contract, but he's got to take some accountability too because he has dropped off. He needs to work on his intensity and his speed off the mark and the way that he can sort of dodge around players. He sort of looks like he's lost a little bit of confidence in that area, but I still think he's worth persisting with if you're Melbourne and or another club.
Judd McPhee, West Australia?
Yeah, like him. Yep, used the ball pretty well.
He's out of contract?
I think so, yeah. There was, I think a contract's been put to him. And Woden's been on the periphery for a long period of time, so he's one of those players that falls in the category.
Be handy.
Yep, he would be. If there's clubs interested, then those players need to get out.
Corky, have a cracking Friday. Love your work. Thank you, Corky. 997. Cousins and Judd in their prime better than Bontempelli.
I don't know. I'd take Bontempelli over Cousins, at least.
Judd's a better player than Bontempelli.
Judd's best is better, but Bontempelli's consistency is extraordinary. Dacos will be the first player to get more than 8 All-Australians. That's a pretty good shout, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. A lot of Cousins and Juddies there. Curnow, who loves the punt. Juddy is better than Bont in my opinion. Not saying that he's better, but Cooter reminds me of Bont playing style, says John.
He's not better. I think I'd take Bontempelli over Cooter Feeties.
There you go. Keep them coming. Just a quick one. Cam from Tapping says, watching last night, I thought it was embarrassing that the first bit of fight and mongrel the Blues showed was at half-time after they saw the Saad replay. Surely, after the week they had, they would have come out a little harder than that.
Yep. And that was the disappointing part. That was the response we were all waiting for. Yeah, they had a 5-day break. We understand that. But if you love your coach and you want to fight for your coach, it was there to be had in the first quarter, and they didn't show up.
UTAS Stadium in Launceston. For those who are listening, it's Launceston, not Launceston. Cam McKenzie in for Henry Huswaite. Will Dawson in for Charlie Comben. He's in and out through injury, of course. What do you make of this game here? Hawthorn down there against North Melbourne. So basically the 2 Tassie teams.
North Melbourne, they're improving, aren't they, before our eyes? Finally, Alistair Clarkson is making some inroads with this group. And what he did, he actually stripped it back. So they were taking the game on early in the season, being really aggressive, but they were getting scored against heavily. And he's almost taken a bit from the Justin Longmuir school of defence, where you defend with ball in hand, you take it easy, you don't be as aggressive, and that gives you support behind the ball. And they're finding ways to be in games for a long time, and last week they got the points against Carlton. But I think Hawthorn's a different kettle of fish. Well rested. I'm always a bit nervous with teams coming off the bye, but I think the Hawks can do it. They need to do it to keep their top 4 chances alive.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Hawthorn will be winning that one as well. North Melbourne, who would you rather be? I've said this. Who would you rather be, Alistair Clarkson or Ross Lyon?
Alistair Clarkson. Yep. I'm worried about St Kilda. Going to have a good look at them on Sunday, but I just don't know if the kids are coming through, are they? Like, you look at the kids at North Melbourne, they're everywhere. And the best part about that is that will keep them in contention for the next 10 years, because they won't be able to keep them all, and they'll trade some out. And they should be aggressive this year by trading some out to keep those draft picks coming in for exactly the type of players that they need, which are small forwards and key defensive posts to try and help them out.
Ray, as he said, Hase, please, I'm a Freo maniac, as you know, and even I'd take Judd over the Bont. Cousins is better than Bontempelli from 407. There you go. A lot of... you've got got people thinking this morning. Charlie Dean, Charlie West come in for Billy Frampton, Bo McCreary. Charlie West on debut. He's on debut, Charlie West.
Yeah, he is.
This weekend.
Great to see Job Shanahan in the team. He started the season.
He's debuting as well.
Debuting this weekend.
Started as a forward for the West Coast Eagles waffle team and was shifted into defence, so he's going to give them flexibility. It's sad, isn't it? You're going to see the end of Oscar Allen at West Coast and Jeremy McGovern, but it also brings new life, and Job Shanahan will represent the club with distinction, I believe. There's a lot of excuses, isn't there, for West Coast going into this game? They're coming off the bye, 1v18, away from home. A lot of their superstars aren't playing, so it's a massive test to see how far they have come. I think they will probably end up tagging Nick Dacos. I'm not sure it's the right way to go, because I think they're so well versed, as Ed Allen said, on what to do now if a player of that calibre is tagged. And whether it's Dacos getting the footy or it's Pendlebury or Sidebottom, I don't think it really matters. Traditionally, they haven't done too many tagging roles under McQualter, but I think they will go with it. Jamie Elliott, he's a star. He's been in some really good form. I'm excited to see what Tom McCarthy can do in his second game as well. And also West Coast, they get a good look against Darcy Cameron. How far away are their rucks compared to Darcy Cameron? And could this be the game that says, righto, we've got to make this happen? Because there were reports early in the week that Darcy Cameron was close to recommitting with Collingwood, but then there was further reports from his management saying, no, that is not the case, and West Coast are still firmly in the mix.
And that story was broken right here in this studio by Scotty Cummings, and he got absolutely lambasted on social media when he put his neck out there. So I wonder if he's still breathing. Christian Petracca is better than Bontempelli, says John. Simon Black was far better.
No, Petracca's not better than Bont.
Norm Smith.
Come on, Tim, help me out with that one.
Unbelievable.
Ball use is king.
Yeah, no, I'm a Bont over Petracca, man.
I'm a big believer Christian Petracca's been number 2 over the last sort of 5 years, but Bont's been number 1 for the last 5 or 6 seasons.
And we're doing it for Greenworks. Greenworks Power, Greenworks Quality, Greenworks Range. Your ultimate battery-powered garden brand is now here. A couple of texts. What has Tom Gross done wrong? Seemed promising, then got dropped and never been seen or heard of again.
Well, he's not dominating waffle. And a couple of poor performances in the waffle. That's what he needs to do. Play well there and he'll get his chance again. But he did get a contract extension.
Yeah, Dusty's better than Bont, says Paul.
Hard to argue against that one.
Carlos Lockett, a 5-time All-Australian, Brownlow medalist, 4-time Coleman medalist, Lee Matthews Trophy winner in 1987.
Hard to argue against that one.
All righty. And this one from 961. Have you heard anything about a potential move of Jamie Cripps to Freo?
Jamie Cripps to Freo. Well, they did have some interest, Freo, in Tim Kelly. So potentially they were looking at the forward position with him. But I think they've got enough players. Dudley back into the squad. Sam Switkowski getting back fit and firing. I'm not sure they need to make a play, but it might just be the senior player that they need to top up. I don't believe they need him, but
it's not happening. We'll just take it to the bank. It's not happening. All righty. Richmond versus Adelaide. Tresize, Lafau and Blight come in. Burgess, Peatling, Chase Jones and Zach Taylor in for the Crows. Luke Pedler goes out of the lineup. This game's on Sunday.
I don't care about this game, Tim, because I can't watch the last quarter. Can't watch the last quarter because we have a double up. 2 games on a Sunday. If you didn't hear my dig earlier, very frustrated
I like your dig.
with the fixturing because these 2 games overlap and you've only got 2. Doesn't make any sense for me, but Adelaide will be winning that one pretty well.
All righty. Oscar McDonald, Sean Darcy and Isaiah Dudley in now. I'm going to talk to you about their bench at the moment. Garcia, Henry, Carroll and Boyd. What's happened to Liam Henry? What a career move that was. Jimmy Webster goes out for the Saints.
I was talking about that the other day. The grass is not always greener. He was in form, spot on the wing, playing well under a coach that was embracing him in career best form, and he's gone to St Kilda, took the money, took the lifestyle, had the change, and now his career is in limbo.
Okay, these are the names of the bench for what it's worth. Let's just stick to the bench. Sharp, Erasmus, Draper, Fife, Aish, McDonald, Darcy and Dudley. Give me your 4 and your emergency out of those survivors.
That I think will transpire.
Will play.
I think Sharp is in trouble. I think Fife will play.
Oh, you think Sharp's in trouble?
Yeah, I think he's been slightly... As soon as O'Meara comes back in, I think he's in trouble. So he might survive this week. I think you've got to keep on going with Erasmus. I think Fife will be there, and we know Sean Darcy will play.
Sub?
The sub will be...
Dudley do right?
Could be Dudley. But it should be Fife, in my opinion.
So Draper's in trouble too.
Yeah, that was an interesting one because they've got Oscar McDonald there as well, but he was the emergency last week as well. Jai Amos will play. I sort of raised it that maybe Jai Amos does need a break and Oscar McDonald could have come in as a forward, but that won't be the case this weekend. But big game, and of course expect the unexpected from Ross Lyon. Everybody thinking it might be a big defensive game. Marcus Windhager, who does he go to? Who does he tag? Does he go to? Caleb Sarong. Wouldn't surprise me if they do something completely different and they put maybe Jack Steele to one of those players. Windhager might go to a Jordan Clark at half-back to try and stop their run because he is the only player that gives them that from the back half. They smashed Freo in the contest last time. I went back and had a look at those results. It was unbelievable. Contested possessions 151 to 103. The clearance is 50 to 22. The good thing is it won't happen again, and I think Jackson and Marshall will be a great matchup. Of course, Darcy will be in there as well, but I think Fremantle will be winning this one by 20 points.